Hello, everybody. Alrighty, so I'm going to be presenting um, a customer success guru info session for you guys because you all are absolutely incredible and you're going to be on the ground working on the Hack Days project related to expanding the awareness for the customer success guru opportunity. So these are just some things to keep in mind when you're having conversations. Hopefully it'll arm you with enough information so you'll be able to answer any questions that you have at the end. Of the email, I'll link a Google Doc so you guys can ask me any questions, have them submitted by Wednesday, and I will answer any questions in that Google Doc as time goes on so that you guys feel super confident in terms of the communication with potential customer success guru applicants. So let's get started. Let's own this Hack Days. Woohoo! I totally agree with this statement. Okay, so the interview process, you might get some questions related to the customer success guru interview process. So I just wanted to, again, go over that really briefly with you guys, just in case any questions come along. It's a pretty lengthy interview process. On average, it's about 5 to 6 weeks. Of course, this is relative to bandwidth on the team and some other external factors as well, but just want candidates or potential candidates to know that it's a bit of a time commitment for sure. The first step, week one, is the application. Every applicant for the guru role is required to submit a test score, and I'll go into the details of that on the next page. Give us 1 to 2 weeks for that screening process with the bandwidth on the team. Usually that's as long as it takes. Week 3 is a life story interview. Week 4, that's the gauntlet. Again, I'll jump into details on that in another slide. And then the very last week is a chat with squad lead and references. And I will jump into the specifics on that in another slide as well. Okay, so you're going to find that my slideshow is a little bit more wordy than I typically have slideshows, but I just wanted to make sure that if you guys wanted to come back and take a look, you'd have all that information right there for you. So application store, this is what every guru, potential guru applying needs to do. And application stores need to have the following things complete in order for us to consider them for the guru position. So they need to get to know the admin a little bit. That's the whole point of this part of the process. And I think it's a really great introduction to the Shopify platform. They're asked to spruce up their theme. Of course, that's super vague, which we like to keep it that way. People can really go to town on what this means to them. They're meant to add products and sort them into collections and then also create a drop-down menu. They can also add why you want to be a guru by either embedding a video or they can create a blog post. We like to keep that really vague as well, of course, because then we get to really see the creative style of each person that's applying. You need to add one of our apps, and we go in and make sure that the app is not only added, it's functioning as well. On the About page, we love to learn a little bit about who that person is. We can get a sense of their passion and their engagement there. Adding a logo, huge bonus points for those application stores. And we just really encourage candidates to have fun with it and just be creative and enjoy the process. So if they make it through the life story interview, they move on to the gauntlet, and that is a 90-minute interview with one of our guru builders. The gauntlet, it's really an opportunity for us to see the technical breakdown of that candidate's skills. And it's also a really great opportunity for candidates to see if the role really resonates with them, because if they didn't enjoy the hour and a half experience of the gauntlet, then chances are they're really not going to resonate with the role of being a guru. So what guru builders do is they act as merchants and they ask candidates questions over phones, chats, and emails. And that candidate really has to use their resource skills to find those answers on the fly, just using Google. The things that we look for in gauntlets are things like authenticity, so just having a really good communication style with that merchant that seems true to them and it doesn't seem scripted. Authenticity also looks like not allowing for a lot of dead air on those phone calls, being curious about that quote-unquote merchant's business. Another thing we look for is, of course, resourcefulness. That's the bread and butter of being an awesome guru. So can they find those answers online? And then another piece that we look at is also time management. The guru position is incredibly multitasking, and it is a very fast-paced environment. So we want to see how they juggle all those things that we're asking them to simultaneously. Um, So regions and shifts for the guru position currently, we're hiring in Ontario and Quebec, in New Brunswick, Alberta, and British Columbia. We offer different shifts depending on which region that the person is applying for. You can see on the right-hand side, those shifts are in local time zones, which are listed on the left-hand side. So Ontario and Quebec, we have 7 a.m. to 3, 9 a.m. to 5, 11 a.m. to 7, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then in New Brunswick, it's that they would work with the squads in Ontario and Quebec, but just a little bit different of a time zone for them. So same opportunities, just 1 hour difference. So 8 a.m. to 4, 10 a.m. to 6, 12 to 8, and 2 p.m. to 10. And then Alberta, they link up with the British Columbia squad. So again, same time shifts, just 1 hour difference. So 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. British Columbia opportunity is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and 12 to 8. So gurus would always work the same shift unless they're getting their shift covered by another guru, but that is the rare case. All right, Guru Land logistics. Let's jump in. So a breakdown of what Guru Land looks like. So Guru KPIs. Smiley and Ask are still the two main points for looking at KPIs for gurus. Smiley, you always want to have a 90% or over Smiley rating. That's our goal company-wide, and that's true for every guru as well. The Ask, we always want to try to tag 20% of conversations that gurus are having with an ask, and then you want to look at the conversions of those asks as well and how they convert into dollar amounts every month. And that varies depending as well. But Ask really is about gurus diving into problems that are presented by the merchant and finding out the root of that problem and coming up with long-term committed solutions to that problem. For instance, if someone has a shipping issue and that merchant wants to buy an app or subscribe to an app, with a little bit of digging, a guru could find out that signing up for a 1-year subscription with us would not only give them a discount on the subscription, but it would also save them the money on that monthly app and alternatively also solve the shipping problem. So it's really about being curious and offering merchants the best solution that they can offer. Another thing that we look at is operational effectiveness. So that is productivity, adherence to channels, and efficiency. That one is a little bit more loosely defined. We don't have specific cutoff times for interactions that gurus have, and we don't have specific wrap-up times. We really celebrate the autonomy of gurus and recognize that some problems take longer to solve than others, and that's okay. We just want to look at those key pieces over long periods of time and look at specific patterns. So if one guru's wrap-up time is consistently 10 minutes over everyone else's wrap-up times, and that squad leader want to have relative to efficiency, and they would kind of work on that development goal together. Operational effectiveness also comes down to live coaching that squads do with their gurus as well. This is really about making sure that gurus are consistently giving the best support they can and helping them in live time with those different learnings. Every guru is placed on a squad, so that's about 10 to 12 gurus on a squad with a squad lead. If you get any questions related to where those other squad mates are, they're within the same province for the most part. Of course, that's not the case with Quebec and Ontario and Alberta and British Columbia, but usually those are exceptions to the rule. And we're looking at regional squads in the future, but for right now, that's how we are organizing it based on mostly time zone. So you can tell them that most of the people they're working with will be within the same province, but that there might be some special cases where you're going to have some awesome diversity on your squad and welcome someone from a different province. The gurus are talking to merchants over email, over chat, and over phones. And we'll see in the next slide just how that is divvied up in their shift. Oh, not yet. I'll talk about that after. Okay, so scheduling. This is an important piece, I think, to communicate to people. Rotating weekly schedule. So as I mentioned earlier, gurus work the same shift that they are hired for, but the day that they work differs depending on their rotating schedule. You'll see here there are a few different options, or not options, examples, sorry, of that schedule. And you can see that they are 8, 7, and 6 week rotating schedules. The schedule that they are on all depends on the region that they are in. So every guru needs to cover some weekends, as you can see from these examples. Our merchants need our help 24/7. So that is why every guru is there to help on weekends as well. So that's important to answer that question if it comes up, because some people do not want to work weekends, and that's completely fine, but then the guru role is not for them. Okay, so here you'll see an example of a daily schedule for a squad. You can see each line is relative to one guru. That gurus would sign at the beginning of their shift and look at their schedule, which would change by the day. I will go over what this schedule looks like. So signing in 9 a.m. Dark purple, you'll see it's a jump off time, so people can jump into their queues and dish out any emails they need to, or finish up any problems they didn't get to the night before. The dark purple next to that is development time. So that's time for, again, them to work on their own development, whatever that means to them, if they're working on things specifically with their squad lead. Next to that, the light blue, that is allocated to live chats. The light gray is allocated for the 30-minute lunch hour. And then to the right of that, you'll see the light purple. That is the live channel phones. And then dark green, you'll see that that is lead time, so lead one-on-one. And then the pink is AP time, or I guess you could call that magenta. And that's just the last hour to dish out anything that is in the queue that they need to work on to be ready and confident for the next day. So that those different scheduled allocated channels are specifically organized by workforce planning to make sure that everybody is or we have the right capacity on different channels. So there's not a whole lot of flexibility in that. So gurus need to understand that coming in. Who is a guru? So what does an amazing guru look like for us? Alrighty, gurus, they are resourceful. Gurus love solving problems and they're lifelong learners. They are not just finding any answer for merchants, they're finding the absolute best answer for merchants. And amazing gurus are answering questions that the merchant hasn't even necessarily asked, or they're predicting what problems they may run into down the line in order to minimize the amount of interactions that merchant needs to have with us in order to feel confident to solve their own problems. So really empowering them in the future as well. Gurus use things like Google, Shopify Docs, Vault, forums, their own personal squad and Slack channels in order to solve those problems on the fly. And another aspect of a guru that we look for is communication. So it's not enough to just give a merchant an answer. You really want that answer to be delivered in a digestible way. And that looks different for every single merchant. Everybody has different skills related to technology or to business. So gurus really need to be adaptive in their communication style. And they enjoy it. They love helping people. And that comes through in the way that they communicate as well. It also looks like breaking down the steps of a really complicated process for a merchant and not just handing over a doc URL. Another key piece to communication is about empathy and setting boundaries, controlling the conversation, and setting proper expectations. So the under promise, over deliver piece, and also having an ability to connect and have empathy with merchants as well. It's all about being people connecting with people and not being scripted robots. Another key piece of being an amazing guru is efficiency. So, as I mentioned previously, it's an incredibly fast paced position and requires a lot of multitasking. Gurus work up to doing 3 chats at a time, which requires a lot of thinking on their feet. So, these gurus can work under pressure. Alrighty, moving on from there. Okay, so this role it's incredibly fulfilling, but it's also challenging. And one thing that we say a lot on our team is that the guru role is not for everybody. Not everybody is for the guru role, and that's okay. We kind of embrace the fact that this job is really challenging, and it's not everybody's cup of tea. But for the right people, then they get the fulfillment from the challenge. So I'll kind of break that down a little bit. So um, the fulfilling pieces, they get to work with entrepreneurs from all over the world, which for a lot of people is incredibly inspiring. And if they like helping others, then that would be another rewarding piece relative to that. They have a huge opportunity for impact in merchants' lives. Again, being able to have that impact and help people become financially self-sufficient or fulfill their entrepreneurial dreams is huge for some gurus. They solve problems and answer questions related to the Shopify platform. One of the beautiful things about this is that the problems that are presented and the questions that are asked are incredibly varied. So gurus get an opportunity to learn about various topics, and um, it's not a monotonous position, which is really rewarding for a lot of people who don't like kind of like the more paper pushy type of job. Um, gurus get to work independently, but then also in a team. So there's a lot of autonomy in terms of how they're solving those problems and the conversations that they're having. But then they also get to really connect with other gurus on their team to work as a group when some of those problems go above and beyond and they need to pull in some other resources, which is a really great experience for a lot of gurus. The reason I'm using terms like a lot of gurus and some gurus is the fact that there's different pieces of the guru role that fulfill different people, and not everybody is fulfilled um, by using the same approach. I personally loved the fact that I was helping people, but maybe for others, working with um, business owners is the most fulfilling piece, or always thinking on your toes and always learning is the most fulfilling piece. So everybody's a little bit different. So the challenging pieces to the role, it's incredibly fast paced, as I've mentioned a few times now. So you might be getting the gist of that pattern. And not everybody thrives in that environment. That's okay. It requires a lot of on the spot learning and expanding. So gurus need to constantly be able to learn and grow in that moment. Sometimes you only have a couple of minutes to um, educate yourself on an area of the admin before you're. Oh, I see I have a spelling error there. Apologies for that. Um, Anywho, they need to educate themselves on an area of the admin in order to help a merchant within a few moments' time. So it can be really stressful. Some interactions can be stressful depending on the emotional temperament of the merchant as well, or the complexity of the problem, or the severity of the problem. And then for some gurus, the remote lifestyle can be a really challenging piece of the role if they're used to having that in real life connection with others. Complex problems can be complicated to solve, which is pretty apparent, especially when you're managing, doing 3 chats at a time. So all of these pieces, the fact that they are challenging day in and day out for 5 days a week, can really require a lot of self-care for gurus to be committed to this challenge long term. So the remote life at Shopify, I think it's really important to highlight this. So there are opportunities for remote employees to get together outside of their homes. So in every region, Shopify organizes a space for employees to get together. We call them work-togethers. And then there's also opportunities for um, to connect with colleagues outside of work togethers, they organize dinners or different squad nights, remote movie nights, softball leagues, etc. So there's really still the opportunity to have that community at work, even though they're living and working in a remote lifestyle. We also have the opportunity for Support Summit, which brings everybody together in the same region once a year, which is an amazing opportunity to meet colleagues and we align with the Shopify mission related to support for that year. Alrighty, so I'm going to link you guys to a doc to ask me questions. Because of the size of this group, I thought that this was the most efficient use of time. Yeah, thank you guys so much for working on this Hack Days project. It's going to be incredibly beneficial. So all the appreciation in the world to you. Reach out to me if you have any questions at all. Let's see if I can exit out of this in due time. Ba, ba, ba.